It is Sunday, the 14th of September, 2014. We're in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, and we're looking at a section of the sidewalk that had a chalk slogan that I wrote earlier this morning, saying, Unitarians cover up and deny clergy sexual abuse of children, if I remember correctly. And the police came as a result of a call from the Unitarian Universalist church leaders here in Montreal, leaders of the Unitarian Church of Montreal. John Inder, the president of the church, had a discussion with the police. The upshot of the police intervention this morning was that the police actually specifically recognized that I had every right to do every single thing that I was doing. In other words, they recognized that I had the right to have these picket signs, just off the sidewalk, freestanding on what is municipal property. They recognized the right to have chalk slogans like the one up there that we will get to. But they also said that the church does have the right to erase my chalk slogans, and they cautioned me against getting into a conflict with the church, if and when they erased my chalk slogans. So I told the police, fine, if they want to come out and erase my chalk slogans, I'll just take a video of it and post it to YouTube. The police cautioned me against speaking to church members. I presume they didn't want me speaking to whoever came out and erased the chalk slogans. I told them, well, this is a protest, and I believe the protest includes a right to speak to people if necessary. I have a right to shout slogans and so on. I think I have a right to speak with people. They essentially did not want a conflict, getting out of hand. I basically said, that it was within my rights to speak. I usually don't speak unless someone says something to me first. But I would say that, coming out and erasing what I wrote is saying something to me. And John Inder did, in fact, say a word or two to me before doing so, if I remember correctly. So I told the police, I have a right to reply to what Unitarian Universalists say to me. And I believe that this erasing of my entirely truthful chalk slogan is a statement, not only by John Inder, president of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, but by the Unitarian Church of Montreal as an institution, and indeed by the Unitarian Universalist religious community as a whole, which just much prefers to cover up and hide Unitarian Universalist injustices and abuses, including clergy sexual abuse, including clergy sexual abuse of children, as much as they can. They can't totally cover up and hide it because it's just it's just too public. In fact, what I'm talking about is public knowledge. It's spoken about in newspaper reports and so on. But they will even try to cover up. They will try to suppress me speaking about what's available to be read in newspapers and so on. So they're still trying to cover it up, keep it as out of the public eye as much as possible. Anyway, John Inder came out and erased it. The police did say, I do have a right to make chalk slogans, so I just made a new one. And the new chalk slogan says, John Inder and Montreal Unitarians engage in cover-up and denial of Unitarian Universalist clergy sexual abuse. That slogan is entirely truthful, based on the fact that John Inder came out here with a pail of water and a broom and erased my chalk slogans, obliterated my chalk slogans, that spoke about other previous cover-up and denial of Unitarian Universalist clergy sexual misconduct. If John Inder covers up my slogans protesting against Unitarian Universalist cover-up and denial of clergy sexual abuse of children, of such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape, Well, then he's a participant.
I think they just are renting. I think maybe they.
He's a participant, a knowing and willful collaborator in Unitarian Universalist cover-up and denial of clergy sexual misconduct. More specifically, clergy sexual misconduct. Even more specifically, clergy sexual misconduct involving children, clergy sexual abuse of children, and even more specifically, such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape committed by Unitarian Universalist clergy that the Unitarian Universalist Association has tried to cover up and deny by falsely accusing me of the crime of blasphemous libel in an effort to intimidate me into removing blog posts about Unitarian Universalists. John Inder just came out and saw my new slogan. Good. That'll be interesting. Maybe I can get some video of him erasing it. So anyway, yeah, we'll keep this going because I just saw John Inder come out and it's quite clear that he saw that I had written a new slogan. So we'll come back and read that one more time. He just briefly looked at it, so I don't know if he caught exactly what it said. But I think he probably saw his name there at the top. John Inder and Montreal Unitarians engage in cover-up and denial of UU clergy sexual abuse. Entirely truthful statement based on what just happened within the last half hour or so, where John Inder and other Montreal Unitarians tried to persuade SPVM police officers to get rid of me in one way or another, or give me a ticket, do something to dissuade me from protesting. The police officers did not do that. They just actually recognized that everything I was doing was within the law, as I've always believed. But they did caution me against getting into a confrontation with Montreal Unitarians. I said I don't normally get into a confrontation unless a Montreal Unitarian says something first. And so John Inder came along. Here he comes again. Oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be priceless. So here comes John with a pail oh, here he goes. Oh, yes, it's water communion. Oh, yes, that's it, John. Cover up clergy sexual abuse. Cover up your involvement in Unitarian Universalist cover up and denial of Unitarian Universalist clergy sexual abuse.
Tell me, which large group of churches or any sports organization has not had isolated incidents?
Isolated incidents. But
this is an American thing.
It's an American thing?
To say that
What's
nothing has happened here, but anyone.
Well, you're quite wrong actually to say nothing has happened here.
You were told no, that you should get a life.
Oh, I should get a life. Oh, that's what I was told? Who told me I should get a life? Who told me I should get a life, John?
You call clergy abuse someone who didn't agree with you, who had made a perfect right to disagree with your religious vision. I don't know what they said to you, but...
You know perfectly well. You're a liar. You are a pathetic liar and a brazen liar if you say you do not know what they said to me because you received letters telling you what they said to me. You're a goddamn liar.
I had your version.
Yeah, right.
I don't believe your version.
You seem to forget that... John... John, you're very good. You're now totally 100% complicit in Unitarian Universalist cover-up and denial of all forms of clergy sexual misconduct, and indeed, other forms of clergy abuse and clergy misconduct. Congratulations, John Inder. So yes, John Inder just turned my chalk slogan into a tie-dye t-shirt kind of thing. Yeah, contemporary art. Maybe I should take a photo of this and sell it to the Contemporary Art Museum. But John Inder's like just the model of denial, dim thinking, denial, ignorance, and minimization of unethical behavior. That's a term used by D. Miller, a clergy sexual misconduct whistleblower and I believe victim, an advocate for victims of clergy sexual misconduct. She refers to the denial ignorance and minimization of unethical and immoral behavior, and more specifically clergy misconduct, as dim thinking, an acronym for denial, ignorance, and minimization. John Inder just provided a classic example of that, not only in terms of erasing my slogan, but what he said to me. What he said to me was playing everything down, minimizing everything, pretending. He spoke of isolated cases. Well, if he checked the facts, he would discover that at least 400 Unitarian Universalist congregations have been affected by clergy sexual misconduct of one kind or another. That's 40% of Unitarian Universalist congregations, and that's the lowest level that's been calculated. They stopped counting. The Unitarian Universalists, Unitarian Universalist interim ministers specifically, who decided to try to find out how many Unitarian Universalist churches had been affected by clergy sexual misconduct of one kind or another, stopped counting when they reached 400. They, I guess, figured, well, they knew enough. But who knows? Maybe it's 600, maybe it's 800, maybe it's 1,000. We don't know, because they stopped counting at 400. Maybe it is only 400. Maybe they actually, got very close to the total number. Well, the total number, 400 congregations, is about 40% of Unitarian Universalist congregations affected by one form of clergy sexual misconduct or another. Hardly isolated cases. And even, if we're talking about some isolated cases, covering up and hiding them is immoral and unethical. I don't care if the Unitarian Universalist Association only tried to cover up and hide 2 or 3 cases of egregious clergy sexual misconduct by falsely accusing me of the crime of blasphemous libel. That is an immoral and unethical and borderline criminal behavior on the part of the Unitarian Universalist Association, on the part of top-level UUA leaders. UUA President, Reverend Dr. Peter Morales, former UUA Vice President, Kathleen K. Montgomery. So even if they only tried to cover up and hide a couple of cases of what Stikeman Elliott, Barristers and Solicitors Litigation Lawyer, describes as such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape, that is immoral, unethical, borderline criminal behavior on the part of the Unitarian Universalist Association, and I have every right to write some chalk slogans protesting against that Unitarian Universalist Association cover-up and denial of the worst forms of clergy sexual abuse. But the fact of the matter is, there are other cases of pedophilia committed by Unitarian Universalist ministers. I'm sure there are cases I don't even know about, but I do know about other cases. We're not talking, maybe in terms of pedophilia, there's not that much of it, but there's enough. And sadly, the UUA prefers to cover up and deny it. During the UUAGA this summer in Providence, Rhode Island, UUA moderator Jim Key stood up in front of a few thousand Unitarian Universalist delegates and brazenly lied to them about Unitarian Universalist clergy sexual abuse of children in what was supposed to be an apology to clergy sexual misconduct victims. On behalf of the board of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations, Jim Key made the following statement: "There were no cases of abuse of children or elders in my investigations." That is an exact quote, or very close to exact quote, of what he said. One more time: there were no cases of abuse of children or elders in my investigations. So what's he saying? He's saying that in his investigations of clergy sexual misconduct, his own personal investigations, he found no evidence of Unitarian Universalist clergy sexual abuse of children. That's what he's saying. And this is a lie, because I personally told him about cases of Unitarian Universalist clergy sexual abuse of children. I do not doubt that other Unitarian Universalist clergy abuse whistleblowers and so on also told him. So this is just a brazen lie on the part of UUA moderator Jim Key. And here we have John Inder trying to cover up the lies. On that note, we're going to end up this video. People are leaving the church. My battery in this camera is running down. I may switch cameras. I think I may stick around as people leave. But we've had a very, very good protest today. The videos are going on YouTube. And I will make sure that UUA moderator Jim Key, UUA President Reverend Peter Morales, and the UUA Board of Trustees are made aware of these videos. And this is the fruits of their gross negligent and knowingly and willfully complicit involvement in cover-up and denial of Unitarian Universalist clergy sexual misconduct, including Unitarian Universalist clergy abuse of children, including such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape committed by Unitarian Universalist ministers. This protest today might not have happened if they had dealt responsibly with my earlier grievances regarding all manners of clergy misconduct, but including clergy sexual misconduct, and my more recent grievances dating back to June of 2012 against the UUA's arrogant and aggressive legal bullying that attempted to intimidate me into removing blog posts about certain Unitarian Universalist ministers who are in fact guilty of engaging in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. So that is that for now.